Hi, I'm Michelle, and this is our love story, actually God's love story, unfolded in our lives of how we met.
Hi, I'm Darren, and this is the story of how Michelle and I met.
It was my first semester at Xavier University. The campus was a very small campus, very, close proximity. So if you sit on the campus in the courtyard, you pretty much have a view of everybody walking back and forth. And so I saw Darren one day, actually. I noticed him, he was actually pledging, and I noticed him in formation with his line brothers, and I have to say, initially, his physical appearance, it definitely caught my eye. Just tall and good looking, caught my eye, and I would see him, other days around the campus, and I just really liked the way he carried himself.
It's December 4th, 1989. Frat brother in Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Brian Monet, he came over to me when I was in the Student Center at Xavier University in New Orleans, and he said, "Someone wants to meet you."
This was 1989, so we're talking about like in 1992, actually, that our relationship of friendship actually we started dating in 1992. Darren and I, we really just enjoy spending time with each other. One of the things in terms of dating, that we had built a foundation of friendship.
So we started dating and going out and doing various things, and I noticed that she had the gift of listening and observing, which I was totally clueless on a lot of things, on relationships and how to truly love someone. But God, in the midst of all of that, was working with both of us. I felt at one point that she was so much into me, and I wasn't really as receptive to her as a young lady, that I felt like she wasn't being herself and I wasn't fully being myself. And I asked her at one point to, let's just be friends.
For myself, that was quite a good thing, because at the time, I was just very insecure. I had low self-esteem, didn't know who I was, faced a lot of rejection, mainly like from my father, and my relationship with my father was very wanting, or there was a lack, I should say, of a relationship with him, and that just kind of like grew up with me. So I was just really looking for somebody to love me, and the way that I feel like I wanted to be loved, and not realizing that only God can do that.
So I went in the fall of '94 to study for the priesthood, and eventually she contacted me while I was in the process of studying in the priesthood. I was in New Orleans at the time, and she said, "Praise God," and she just acknowledged she basically missed me. And so I thought it was kind of unhealthy for me to be studying for the priesthood and ultimately contemplating being a celibate man. So I asked her to have no contact with me.
My heart dropped and just really shattered, because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's just like the priesthood, the Catholic priesthood, where you commit yourself to the church and the work of the church, and that you can't get married. And so this is what he was telling me, that he was becoming a priest. He already started the process, and that this was the end of us.
I eventually got ordained to the priesthood in May 27 of 2000, and I invited her to it. And she went to the ordination, which was in Mobile, Alabama. And after that, like my sister and other people said, wow, that must have been very hard for her. And I never even thought about that.
So I went on, went to a graduate school myself at Oral Roberts University. I was going to go for my master's in divinity, but God had another plan. He really led me to the program of counseling, marriage and family therapy. And it was a 2-year program, and I tell you, it was part of my healing. In that program, I learned a lot about relationships that were based in truth and based in, and how God has called relationships and family and marriage. And so once again, my mind was being renewed, even at school. And it was like a sabbatical that I needed, really.
I began to see that being friends with women was, and other people as well, that I had a healthier relationship with women as a priest than I ever did when I was dating and doing all kinds of other things. And so God began to work with me to see and appreciate women. And so I saw a lot of beautiful, intelligent, educated, etc. women that were attractive, but yet they kept leading me back to Michelle and her beauty, her intelligence, her way of being receptive to me.
So it brought a healing, to my soul, that not only see myself in a new way, but seeing, men in a different way, and no longer seeing them as a means to an end, to the fairy tale life, and to see them as my brother in Christ, as God creation. And so, it just changed my perspective. God did that. He changed my perspective. And this was over a process of years. It didn't happen overnight.
It was Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And I was at home celebrating my dad's birthday on August 25th. And then the next day I drove my parents from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi to Atlanta. And meantime I was praying for Michelle. I didn't know where she was. She's from New Orleans, Louisiana. And I thought maybe she was living in New Orleans with Hurricane Katrina, and I know her family was there. So I continued to pray and think of her, not knowing if she was married or had kids or what had happened over the years.
I was on my way home in Florida, and I thought of Darren came to mind, and it was almost like a interruption of my thoughts. And I was like, why am I thinking about Darren? Because I hadn't thought about him really in such a long time. And I was like, what is this? And in my mind, I said, well, maybe I need to pray for his family, because they lived on the Gulf Coast, and with the hurricane and everything. So I took that as a prayer assignment. So I prayed for his family, and I kept it moving. So the next day, actually, I checked my email, and lo and behold, there was an email from Darren. And he was just asking me about my family, if everybody got out, if everybody was out of harm's way from the hurricane. He shared with me how he transported his parents from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi to Atlanta, out of the way of the storm of the hurricane. And he just wanted to make sure everybody was okay. And he also added that, he respected, the decision not to contact him, so I didn't have to do so. And so a couple of days later, I did respond. I was very just formal with him. Thanks for the concern. My family is fine. I'm glad hope your family's doing well. And I just left it at that. I did say also too that, I had to kind of separate from him because I needed to heal. I needed to move on. And I put that in there because it was just, I felt like I needed to say that.
And then subsequent to that, she called me, I believe. I was at my sister's house outside of Atlanta. And in the midst of God working with me in my heart and my mind, I said, I've been thinking, and that ultimately, I don't know if I'm called to marriage, but if I were to marry someone, I can't think of anybody else I would want to marry but you.
I had to actually get off the phone. I was actually visiting family, and we were gonna, get together, and so I had to go. And before I left, got off the phone, he said that, well, I just want to let you know that over the last couple of years, I've been discerning whether or not if I'm to remain, a Catholic priest, that if I should, leave the priesthood and just be single or be married. And it's, he was just saying how he's discerning that God is calling him to the vocation of marriage. And he said that if God has called me to be married, I can't see myself being married to anyone but you.
In the midst of that, I started discerning and asking God, I said, God, okay, if I'm meant to be married, shall, show me a sign. And so I thought of, okay, a red rose. I would see a red rose, God, if you are leading me in this direction in an inconspicuous place that I would never think of. And so one day, so I gave it a time frame, like 2 weeks. And 2 weeks passed and I forgot about it. And then one day I was washing my hands at the sink. I was actually in the seminary in D.C., Washington, D.C. And I said, oh, I forgot about I was looking for a red rose for yes, and a yellow rose in an inconspicuous spot that would never be there for no. And when I was thinking about that while I was washing my hands, and I looked up at the soap dish, and there it was, a rose. And guess what color it was? That's right, red.
And I tell you, that was like, just very redemptive, because before he said he wouldn't want to marry me. And it was like something lifted. I mean, really, I felt like a weight lifted. He went about the process of leaving the priesthood, and November 8th, 2008, we were married.
Married by the grace of God.
So here we are, fast forward to today. Darren and I have been happily married for 4 years. It'll be 4 years actually November 8th of this year. And God has blessed us with our son, Ian Michael, and we're living here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I tell you that, we're just so thankful. I'm thankful for the journey, even though it was like, 20 plus years to get to this point. I thank God for the journey.
Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, and it is not proud. It is not rude, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, it never keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, rejoices with the truth. It always trusts, it always hopes, it always perseveres, and never fails.